Hey everyone, this is your stimulus check update, second stimulus check update, and stimulus package update for Friday, September 11th. With today being September 11th, I think back to the day when our country was under attack, September 11th, 2001. The shock and uncertainty of that day will forever be engraved in my mind. I remember I was in college, and before heading to school that day, we turned on the TV to see a plane hit the World Trade Center tower. We couldn't understand what was happening, and then we saw a second plane hit the other World Trade Center tower, and we knew something was terribly wrong. But one thing I also remember and I will never forget is soon after this tragedy, we came together as a nation, and we were united as a nation against a common foe. It seemed like we were more kind and forgiving of one another, and we pulled together as a country, grieving and mourning for those that were lost, and for those families that were hurting and trying to heal. While they were able to take down the Twin Towers and take thousands of lives from us, they weren't able to take the American dream from us, and they weren't able to take our American spirit. It strengthened the resolve and fight in all of us that loved our country, and we all wanted to be safe and united against our common enemy. Right now, I miss seeing our country united. There seems to be no unity in our country, and America is hurting. Our country's struggles from the coronavirus pandemic, instead of uniting us, seem to have further torn us apart. And when relief is needed and hoped for, both sides of Congress continue to bicker and complain and argue that it's the other side's fault, pointing the finger at the other side and saying it's them that's causing this problem. It's them that is causing this so that we can't get a deal done. They prefer to blame the other side and instead of compromise, dig their heels in further. They both seem to be working their angle to make their side look better and make the other side look worse in the process. But instead of that happening, they both look like idiots, and we continue to struggle and wait for a stimulus package to be passed. I urge you all, don't fall into the trap that Congress has fallen into. I urge you to be more patient and kind with those around you, and even with those that you don't agree with. We must come together as a country. It's the only thing that can keep us from destroying ourselves from within. Speaking of Congress, yesterday the Senate voted on the skinny or targeted stimulus bill. The Senate's skinny bill of $300 billion is not a popular one with the American people who are waiting for a second stimulus check. The skinny bill did not include a second stimulus check, as many of you already know. Well, the Senate did vote on it yesterday, and it wasn't approved. The final tally was 52 in favor and 47 against. They needed 60 votes to get this to advance. All Democrats voted against this bill, and one Republican voted against this bill, and the rest of the Republicans voted for the bill. So at this point, the skinny bill is finished even before it even really had a chance to get going. And honestly, I don't think the American people are all too sad about it. As I said before, this bill did not include a second stimulus check, which is what pretty much all of America is waiting for. Despite pleas from President Trump, the Federal Reserve, and other economists, Congress has not been able to reach a deal for a second stimulus check and the next stimulus package. Nancy Pelosi has said that she will not agree to anything that's less than $2.2 trillion. With this skinny bill, it would have cost $300 billion of new money and allocated $350 billion of money that was unused from previous bills. So where do we go from here? Well, unless there's some major negotiations within the next week or two, we could be waiting a lot longer for a second stimulus check. The House and the Senate are both back in session during most of September. However, October, they're on recess again as they lead up to the November elections. If the House and the Senate want to get a deal done for the next stimulus package before the November elections, they need to get a deal done within the next couple weeks so it can actually be passed and signed into law by President Trump before they go on recess at the end of September. So without Congress moving along, is there a chance we could get a second stimulus check another way? Well, President Trump has talked about moving $300 billion worth of unused funds from the CARES Act to be used for stimulus checks to be sent out to Americans. However, as I've said in previous videos, President Trump does not have the power to do so, as Congress is the one that has to allocate funds to be spent. President Trump said, with regards to sending out stimulus checks without Congress's approval, we have $300 billion ready to go. All Congress has to do is say, use it. I'd like to use it without their permission, but I guess I'm not allowed. We're willing to spend it. I'd like to get approval from Congress, There's a theory that I don't have to do that, but I'd rather be upfront and I'd like to get approval from Congress. Back in July, both sides proposed plans that included $1,200 stimulus checks for individuals. And President Trump has been calling for stimulus checks all along. But this is what I think's happening. Nancy Pelosi and the House of Representatives do not want a stimulus check if it means that President Trump is going to get credit for it. So they're including stimulus checks as part of a massive stimulus bill that includes a lot of other projects and proposals as well. Mitch McConnell and the Senate, on the other hand, have some of their own agenda as well. And they want to pass some things that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have called poison pills as part of their next stimulus bill that were part of this skinny bill. So Congress is not really working together to form a deal that can be passed and actually include a stimulus check for everyone, despite the fact that both sides back in July wanted a $1,200 stimulus check. If President Trump were able to send out stimulus checks, it would actually undermine the plans by both Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi. But unfortunately, it sounds like at this point, that's not going to happen. So we continue to wait. I have said previously that this week would be very telling as far as a second stimulus check goes, and unfortunately that is the case, but it hasn't been good news. There is a major impasse between the House and the Senate at this point, and it doesn't look like that resolution is going to come anytime soon. I am hopeful that they can come to an agreement over the next couple weeks as pressure mounts leading up to the recess before the November elections. I'm so sorry that so many of you are struggling during this difficult time. I wish Congress would just act and get something together, get something signed, and send out stimulus checks to individuals. They represent us. They aren't our masters. They are supposed to be doing what is best for us, not what is their best interest. But it seems like they aren't doing that right now. So that's the latest of the stimulus check news. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of great news right now. I do appreciate you watching. I will keep you up to date if anything changes, and I will keep you up to date on all the latest talks and negotiations that are going on. I wish I had better news for you all, and I will talk to you again soon.